I really want to talk about the psychology of staying in relationships, even though you know that that person is abusing you. Why do people stay in abusive relationships?
I'd say the biggest thing is going back to childhood of what our nervous system is built towards. So I think what's really, really common when we talk about abusive relationships or trauma bonds, it feels as if the logical side of your head is going, get out of this relationship.
Yeah.
Like, why are you still here? Like, this makes no sense to be here. So
Mm,
your logical, it's like your brain here is going, oh my gosh, why are you here? Get out of this relationship. But your body is still
mm,
there.
yeah.
Your nervous system is still getting pulled towards this person.
Mm,
And it's quite common to have people say that they're like lying next to this person and they're, really, really drawn towards staying there, but the head is telling them to get out. This isn't healthy. But because of these early blueprints in our brain of what we're used to,
mm,
then we start educating ourselves and going like, whoa, this isn't a healthy relationship, but we're used to this chaos. So it feels very safe to stay there, even though it's very unsafe, but we
mm.
know it. So that's usually why our body and our nervous system is drawn to this. So we go back for more, then we go
Yeah.
back for more. It's exactly the same with the slot machine, really. You're
Mm.
going back to get your £100. It might just come this time.
And you believe that they might change.
Yeah, it's like being on, I always think it's like being on like a roller coaster and you're waiting for like the next loop to come around. You like the next one's going to be different. Like,
Mm,
you're trying to fix this wound as
mm.
well from childhood through that.
So how does somebody in that situation uncover that? Because a lot of people aren't conscious around their childhood wounds, right? So someone's listening to this right now thinking, okay, I think I'm in a relationship, let's just say with a narcissist. I keep thinking he's going to change or she's going to change, could be both. What do they do?
I'd say definitely the first steps is your education. And I think now we can go and get that education. So
Right.
it is bringing it into awareness is your first biggest step, really. Your second one is realizing that actually a lot of the time our bodies are reacting in these situations. So our bodies are having is really big within trauma bonds to have gut problems because of the brain and body access. So if we think of it like so we've got the amygdala part of our brain. No, that's the main part of the brain that you need to know. I always think it's like the main part where you go, right, okay, let's just focus on this.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, okay, we've got the amygdala part of the brain that is our fear center. It is there for a reason. So we need the amygdala part of our brain. Now, what happens is when we're in these relationships, we're in this fight or flight response.
Right.
Our amygdala is going like, it's like a little alarm going, do, like, this isn't healthy. Now, what happens is it's there and it's related to the vagus nerve, which then is why we have so much problems within our gut. Because this is all related. So often what's really common is IBS is really common within trauma bonds. Any stomach problems can be that sign of that your body. Sometimes I've heard that body has physically shook in relation to this person. So we're looking at like these physical reactions as well that's happening.
Mm.
So, and you're looking at actually, you can't build safety within yourself if you are in an unsafe environment. Like, you just can't. Like, you can't be, your amygdala can't be going off, because it's telling you this is unsafe.
Yeah.
So you have to be in a place. I've done quite a lot of, actually most of my, therapy has been with children in the care system.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at that, when you're working with a child who's in an unsafe environment, the main thing is getting them out to then work
Right.
with them on processing and what's just happened.
Mm.
As an adult, we then choose. So we then have the ability to choose our environments. So you have to get yourself to a safe environment.
Yeah. So is it possible to stop repeating the same relationship patterns? And if so, what's that first step someone can take?
Yeah, so it's definitely like 100% possible to. The first step is obviously if you were in a trauma bond, it is definitely your awareness to get out of that. The second step would be going back to your secure base.
Right.
So it's then one of the biggest parts in therapy is the relationship with the therapist. So it's basically the secure base that's getting built. So it's what the therapist does is they provide consistency, they provide attunement, they would be there at the same time every week. So it's very much, it's very much this security, this consistent secureness. Now, usually when we've been through attachment, we're not used to that. So when you've had this relational with the therapist, what you're wanting to do is that relationship should then, something similar should be then created with your other relationships outside. So what's massive is the relation side of things getting built so that you then see what a healthy dynamic is. And that should then be taken on the outside.
But don't therapists just validate what their clients are saying? So if I came to you and I was in an abusive relationship, right? Or let's just say actually, I came to you and I was toxic and my partner was toxic. And I came to you and I said, he shouts at me all the time. He bashed the wall and, he did all of these things. You would tell me that's really bad and it's not safe, la, 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 la. And if he came to you and said, she's so angry all the time, she bashes things as well, aren't you just validating both of our experiences?
So, but because he's saying that she is doing that, and she's saying that he is doing it.
Or let's say two people come to you and they're in a relationship, and they both have a different perspective on the conversation. Because in every situation, there's my version, their version, and the truth.
Yeah.
So if both people have a therapist, isn't that therapist just validating what that client is coming to them to say? How do they know what their client is saying is true? And how do they distinguish between what's right and what's wrong?
Yeah. So with that, I suppose you're really in a therapy, you should be looking at their behaviours as well and what's happening in their past.
Right.
To not just see. So in a normal therapy setting, really, you'd be looking at both persons and it's about that person's reaction, really.
Really? You look at a couple together?
Oh, you could do. I don't do couples therapy, but people could. I would say definitely.
Yeah,
that would be the way to go. 100% would be the couples therapy, really. But if you're just getting your reaction to, for instance, I think the dishes is huge. Again, this is not trauma bonds. This is just in relationships.
Yeah.
So just in relationships in general, you're looking at say for instance. Something's happened and somebody's not done the dishes, for instance. That's really common in a relationship dynamic. And usually one partner is so mad that the dishes hasn't been done or, something's happened really, usually quite like, not a big thing. It's usually little things that's happened. And actually we're looking at, okay, what's happened before that for this filing cabinet to fly back out when it's about the dishes. Right. So obviously the easiest thing would be to say like, oh, well, go and wash the dishes, but that's not solvent. Then something else will come up and something else will come up. But in therapy, we're looking at, okay, how, what is the trigger point there?
Got
What
it.
were you, as a child? What happened around you to be so triggered by when you come home, the dishes are just left again, and when we have these massive triggers to that, it's
Got it.
looking at, okay, what's happened before then to have this massive trigger to that.
So let's say I came to you and I said, my partner's such a nightmare because when I come home, the dishes are not done. And that's why I got annoyed with him. You wouldn't be able to validate my feelings actually, because you would then see me coming and talking about the same thing and being so triggered by it that you'd be able to distinguish that was actually a pattern for me, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're looking at, actually, that's the 3-year-old's file sometimes coming up. How does that make you feel that the dishes haven't been done? Or actually, when the dishes haven't been done, I feel unseen. I feel like there's not been care about me. When did you not feel cared about before?
Got it.
So actually, and I'm working from this, you're working from this 3-year-old place.
Got it.
That goes, okay, like at that point, I didn't feel good enough. Let's look at that. Let's work on that and move forwards onto that. Obviously, there's then communication between the partnership to say, when this happens, I feel unseen at them times. I feel like this at these times. And that's why communication is so massive, because actually, I think what's common now is somebody being on the phone, actually. And what happens is that person's on the phone and they're not paying the other person a lot of attention. But actually, if somebody's, if somebody's not had a tuned caregiver, that can be really, really personal. It can be like, they don't want to spend time with me. They don't want this, where it's all actually not being said like that. It's just, that's what they're interpreting that as, because they're working from this like 3-year-old place, this 5-year-old place, rather than communicating that with each other and saying, when this happens, I feel this way.
So step one for somebody who is stuck at home right now in a toxic relationship, or they know that they've got a trauma bond with someone, is firstly to find a way to get out of that toxic relationship, right? The second is to find a safe space, which is what you're saying could be really helpful with a therapist or someone, that's safe to you. The third step, I would say, is once they've found a therapist, how do you help them rebuild their self-worth?
Yeah, so I think what's massive when we come to rebuilding the self-worth, when we look at trauma bonds, the things what usually happens is in childhood we go to fawn response.
What's that?
So when we look at fawn response, it's very much like our masked self. So it's very much the people-pleasing version of ourselves. Like, I know how to keep this person happy. I know what to do to get my next £100 out of the slot machine. I know how to keep, how to do these behaviours. But because of that, what happens is we all have a masked self and a shadow self.
Everyone has a masked and shadow self.
Yeah.
Really?
And what you're wanting to do is get to shadow integration. So to get there, bear with me, is we have to work on the parts of us that were rejected in childhood. So we have to then go to, okay, the angry part of you that's wasn't allowed to be in these relationships. These were the parts of us that were rejected in our early childhood. So it's bringing these up